force somebody's camera on?
No. If I could, I wouldn't. That would be immoral. Edmond, are you ready to rock and roll?
Not yet.
Yo, Edmond. Yo, Edmond. What's going on, dog?
Choose your side.
I can't hear you.
Choose your side. I want to go second.
Alright, Alice, you sit down. Run around. Get started fast. Don't screw around.
Okay. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? No, you can't. Okay. Yes, you can. Oh, yay. I get to get Shrek.
You won't get Shrek.
You're right. I'm not gonna get Shrek. I'm gonna get murdered. And then beaten. And then hanged. Oh, my computer. So, you choose the side and I'll go second. Cause that's fair. We're back from Starbucks. So can we run Catherine and Grace against me and
What?
Edmond? Can we run Catherine and Grace against me and Edmond
No.
since they're back? Please.
Hey, I want this thing started ASAP, too. Don't
Wait,
do-
please.
No.
He's a bully! Strauss is a big fat bully! He's making me Maverick against Edmond! Edmond's Mavericking too, but
Oh!
I know.
Hey guys! Hey Tyrone! Hey guys! Hey Tyrone! Who's he? I don't know who that is. Hey! Zach.
He's the other guy.
Huh? How exciting! There's another one? Oh look, there's Tyrone. Do you remember me?
Everyone's
I'm like lagging. No one can see me.
Everybody except for Alice inside now.
This is sad. Wait, can somebody keep me
Inside.
company?
Inside.
Meet autonomy.
So are you?
Yes, I want to go second. You can choose your side.
Wait, talk again, Edmond. You're a little bit low for me. Let's see here.
Derp, derp, derp. Derp, derp. More derps. Derpiness. Oh boy.
Alright, talk again.
Hi.
I think I can hear you. I can hear you, but it's just like, it's a little bit lower than Alice, but I think I should be able to understand what you're saying.
Yay. Destruction.
Help me out.
Okay. Yay. No. Okay. Derp, 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 derp. Oh, it's cold.
get some NBA stuff. I'll be right back.
All right.
Okay, yay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
The second speaker. I'm first
Alice, baby. Hello. Hello, people. Ew, I licked your hair!
Ow!
Oh, is that Edmond?
Hey, you two.
It's so
Over here.
nasty. Okay, let's open
This is
the...
what happens when you're released.
Yeah, see, we're very organized and focused.
Are you ready to start or what?
I'm waiting for Edmond. I'm going second.
Why are we waiting for
And
Edmond?
all
What's
the
the
cards
problem?
are gone.
No, they removed the old PF stuff.
You actually moved stuff
I didn't.
there?
Somebody else did. Somebody more organized than me.
Wait, no, it's empty.
Go, my slave, go.
Look in the other old PF one.
Oh, I was looking in the... I see.
Income res.
No, go to the, I just sit in the Wi-Fi.
There it is. That means it's time to start.
I'm waiting for Edmond. I'm not first, he's first.
Where's my laptop?
And this isn't my phone, this is your
Here's the
phone.
Wi-Fi.
Hey, Emily!
Move it. Move it.
Take your phone!
It's on my phone.
Hannah! Okay, I'll keep this.
Oh.
Anna, get out.
Wait,
Over
go
here.
ahead. Oh, I can't hear anything. Whenever you're ready, start.
If you're gonna be loud, you probably go around the corner.
There's gonna be a lot of background noise.
Hopefully not. Let's
Oh,
go.
there's
Roll
gonna be
it.
so much. Whenever you're ready. Yes, you can start.
Okay. Okay. Ready? Time starts now. Hello, my name is Edmond, and I stand in firm negation of this resolution. Framework criterion: cost-benefit analysis with a focus on alleviating income inequality. Observation 1: reducing poverty alleviates income inequality by increasing income. Definition 1: extreme poverty poverty refers to a poverty line. It's a definition of the amount of income one needs to satisfy the absolute minimum for food, shelter, healthcare, and education. Convention 1. Has per capita 2014 data. More than 45 million Americans are currently living in poverty. Public programs lifted 40 million people out of poverty. Without Social Security, food stamps, unemployment benefits, earned income tax credits, the poverty rate for Americans 65 and older would jump nearly 40%. Social welfare programs work. Safety nets like food stamps prevent millions more people from struggling to put food on the table. For people of all ages, the official poverty rate in the U.S. was 14.5%. Without food stamps, the poverty rate would be 17.10%. Another 8 million Americans would be living in poverty. Without Social Security, the poverty rate for Americans 65 and older would be 52.67% instead of the current 14.6%. Now on to contention 2. Nixon 2011. Tag. Private contractors make too much money off of government projects or infrastructure projects. Despite a widespread belief that contracting out services to the private sector saves the federal government money, a new study suggests just the opposite, that the government actually pays more for less work. The study found that in 33 of 35 occupations, the government actually paid billions of dollars more to hire contractors than it would have cost government employees to perform comparable services. On average, the study found that contractors charged the federal government more than twice the amount it pays federal workers. The Heritage study found that if federal employee compensation were adjusted to match that of their private sector counterparts, federal spending would be reduced by $47 billion alone. Analysis. Look, Judge, private contractors make way too much money off of infrastructure projects. For example, let's say an infrastructure project was $1 million. The rich contractor was paid $1 million by the government to finish the project. He or she had to use $300,000 for materials, $100,000 for employees, and the contractor kept $600,000 for his or herself. The income inequality gap actually raised $500,000 because of the infrastructure project, since only $100,000 went to the poor, the employees, and $600,000 went to the rich contractor. Contention 3. Bad examples of public infrastructure and why it's wasteful. Subpoint A. Stoll 2014. Tag. 3 warrants on why public infrastructure is wasteful. The federal government spends a lot on infrastructure already. The Federal Department of Transportation has outlays of $76 billion in 2013. Federal infrastructure spending is often on wasteful projects. Remember the $223 million Congress appropriated to fund the bridge to nowhere in Alaska? Federal infrastructure spending can be influenced on an appropriations subcommittee rather than by whether a project is a genuinely worthwhile investment. Sure, some infrastructure projects might be worthwhile. In those cases, private investors might decide to invest on them. Subpoint P. James Baxter, 2016. Tag. 3 reasons why toll roads, a form of public infrastructure, are bad. Toll roads are an inefficient, backwards approach to providing public highways. Worse, they foster corruption, political patronage, and discourage needed improvements on the rest of the highway system. Toll roads are literally a monopoly that is sanctioned and protected by the state.
Okay, yay.
Alice, stand up.
Stand up.
Here, stand up for a sec. Stand on this side so you don't throw your thing around. There. Stay here.
What is the purpose of turning it around?
Yeah, slow back and you guys can see you better now.
There was no purpose in turning it around.
Now you're not just a dark silhouette.
No, I wanted to be a dark silhouette.
I don't like dark silhouette.
Well, I do. I like dark silhouettes. Okay. Dang it, they can see now. Okay. Is everybody ready?
Hang on 1 second.
Oh boy. Let's get short.
Alright, hold on.
Wait, Strauss? If I want to keep progressive income taxing, can I? Okay.
Alright, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. Time starts now. I affirm the resolution. Today we offer a framework of cost benefit analysis with a focus on alleviating income inequality. Observation 1. Spending on means tested social welfare programs are a progressive income payout, which means it promotes an aggressive income tax, or progressive income tax. Definition 1. Progressive tax by the Economic Times. Progressive tax is the taxing mechanism in which a higher tax is collected from the taxpayers who earn more and lower taxes from taxpayers earning less. Contention 1. Progressive income taxes violate justice and liberty. Miller 1. A system of taxation is one that is limited by a principle or rule that applies to everybody. Progressive taxation is not constrained by any such limiting principle. It applies different rules to different people depending on their degree of wealth, and it has no principled way of deciding who should be taxed and how much. By making actual income relative to one's tax rate, they violate what is the only universally recognized principle of economic justice, that of equal pay of equal worth. None of these progressive matters can be defended on grounds of justice. Contention 2. Social welfare programs promote violence. Subpoint A. Taxes violate a person's property rights by Kinsella D. People fight only over scarce resources. Disagreement over religion may be the reason for the fight, but the fight is always conducted with physical force mediated by casual means, an example weapons, to physically control others' bodies or own the resources. For example, A may tell B to change A's religion or face death. The fight here is over who gets to control B's body. When the state threatens to jail people for disobeying laws, the state is asserting an ownership claim over its citizens' bodies. So point B, this tax constitutes social welfare programs constitute aggression and thus is criminal by Kinsella D. We believe anyone arguing in favor of any form of aggression is simply wrong. So for us, the question is whether a given law or proposed law or use of force or action is aggression as unjust because the rules propose to commit rather than to respond to aggression. To the question, who has the right to control that person's body, the libertarian answers he does. Contention 3. Infrastructure spending creates thousands of jobs. First of all, Judge, I want to clarify this. So, this is just one potential scenario in which we're investing $1.3 billion and it's creating 29,000 jobs, but there are other scenarios in which many more jobs can be made. So, with that in mind, I'm going to read the card. Contention 3. Infrastructure creates thousands of jobs. Go over 2014A. Investing $1.3 billion in infrastructure next year would add at least 29,000 jobs. That kind of spending would likely add 29,000 to the construction sector, particularly because unemployment in that industry is still so high. That means the jobs that are added are likely to be new ones, not just hiring people who are already employed, but even more jobs would be added to related industries. The 2012 study shows that 61% of jobs directly created by infrastructure investment would be in that industry, with another 12% in manufacturing and 7% in retail and wholesale trade. Almost 9 out of those 10 jobs would be defined as middle class. Contention 4. Cover 2014B. Increased spending on infrastructure boosts economic growth. Investing $1.3 billion in infrastructure would add $2 billion to economic growth while reducing the deficit by $200 million. In addition to the short-term benefit of job creation, significant investments in large projects can enhance efficiency and allow goods and services to be transported more quickly and at lower cost. A long-term reward. It boosts the economy's capacity and output, which means increased growth. As an example, it notes that the U.S. interstate highway system built in the 1950s has added far more to the growth than $400 to $500 billion price tag. Contention 5. Parents and children are actively harmed rather than helped by welfare. Rector 2001. Current research indicates that both welfare dependence and single parenthoods have significant deleterious effects on children's development, impeding their ability to become successful members of society. Dependence also reduces a child's earning in the future. Being raised on welfare also increases the probability that a child will drop out of school and will be on welfare as an adult. Thank you, Judge, and I urge a strong affirmative ballot. Are you ready for cross?
Yeah.
So cross is when you both go back and forth, right?
Yeah, it's like rapid fire questioning.
Right. All right then. Yeah, I'm ready when you guys are.
Okay, you counted off.
Okay. I'll time it. Ready? Okay, time starts now.
So can I ask the
only
first
have 5
question?
contentions?
Yeah, 5 contentions. So in your case, you gave 2 examples of bad infrastructure. So are you saying that like just because these 2 examples of infrastructure are bad, then everything is bad?
I mean, unless you provide more proof on why it's those on infrastructure projects that are good, then in this round it should be considered that public infrastructure is wasteful because of my 2
So
examples.
so then does that mean that if I can show 3 examples that welfare is bad, then I should win the round? Because I have more examples than
No,
you?
not, you should win the point. Yes, I agree.
Okay. Do you have a
But
question?
again, they have to be general examples, like my toll roads example.
So
It can't just be specific examples in specific places.
okay, can I ask another question or?
Yeah.
So for your 4th contention or your 3rd contention, are you talking about? Your 2nd contention. Are you talking about wealth redistribution?
No, I'm talking about private contractors.
Exactly. So that means that the money is getting distributed, which is wealth redistribution, right?
No, because the government is actually hiring the private contractors to work, and
Yeah, I know,
contractors
but
get more money. Yeah.
so basically what I'm asking is that are you saying that the wealth redistribution is unfair? Because that's how the money's divided?
I'm saying, well, no, because the private contractors are the ones funding you creating this project, and they're the ones actually funding it, so they
Exactly.
should get more money.
So
Yeah,
that
so it's
that
not.
so it are you saying that it's wealth redistribution or no?
No, it's not because they're
what is
they're
it
doing
then?
a job. That's their
Exactly.
job.
They're doing a job and they're dividing the money up, which is wealth redistribution.
Okay.
Okay, so we can consider this
I'm
wealth
not-
redistribution, right?
So you're saying all jobs are wealth redistribution?
No, I'm just saying in this certain scenario, how we're dividing the money is wealth redistribution.
No.
Then what is
I don't
it?
understand what you mean by wealth
Okay,
redistribution.
so
Find
wealth
that?
redistribution is how you're dividing up the money, right? So your card is talking about how the money is divided is unfair. So you're basically saying that wealth redistribution is bad, right? How they're using wealth redistribution.
Well, in that case, then all jobs are wealth redistribution because the poor is getting the money too. It's getting the money, but then I'm just saying the rich is getting more money. It's not because it's unfair, it's because that's what happens all the time.
So then what is your... Let's cross. Yay. I'm gonna get murdered and then hanged
Negative
and then
Nancy.
shot in the head.
Negative Nancy.
Yes, you're
because
right.
Negative
Negative
talk
Nancy.
again.
Negative Nancy.
I know. I bet Edmond's not offering a bunch of negative talk.
No,
right
he's
now.
not offering bad negative words.
Okay.
I bet at least 110.
I'll take 30 seconds.
You lost 110.
30 second prep. Okay, time starts now. I got it. I'm gonna go away. Oh, I have it right here. Ready?
You're supposed to make me feel better. I don't want. No, I'm not.
What? Oh, okay.
To make world, nobody else can choose on the street. These French fries when nobody's looking at me. And then, like we were in any conversion
Okay, that's time.
You better not. Yeah. Why?
Okay, so rebuttal.
You'll get back. I'm gonna get back.
4 minutes on the clock.
Yes.
Time starts now. Okay, so Judge, first I would like to address framework. Our framework is whichever side best alleviates income inequality should win this round. And this is the framework, this is the criterion that you should use because the resolution clearly says to alleviate income inequality, something should be prioritized over another thing. So that's why you have to go on our criterion, Judge. Now on to their contention one. Their contention one is about how means test of welfare programs violate justice and liberty, but I have 4 wants against this goal. What? Toll roads or a form of public infrastructure do the same by stealing money from the rich. Number 2, I would like to impact 45 million people. Means test of welfare programs are helping 45 million people, and by letting them die is not just. Number 3, this actually alleviates income inequality by taking money from the rich and redistributing it, and it won't impact the rich that much anyway. Now onto their contention 2. Well, my only response to this is framework. It's about promoting violence. Well, first of all, it's non-unique to means test of welfare programs, progressive income tax. Second, it doesn't even go down my criterion, which is whichever side best alleviates income inequality should win the round. Now onto their contention 3, which is they just pointed out how public infrastructure creates jobs. Well, now, war number 1, I would like to point out impacts. 40 million to 29,000. Which one you should consider? I'm pretty sure it's the 40 million. And also number 2, I would like to read a quote by Rugi Tulane. Public infrastructure fails to create jobs. According to economic research, fiscal stimulus can be counterproductive if it is not timely, targeted, and temporary. By nature, infrastructure spending is not timely and very hard to target. Even when money is available, it can be months or even years before it's spent. This basically shows how public infrastructure is not timely and not targeted correctly, so it fails to create jobs or any of their economic impacts either. And for their contention 4 about economic growth, I would like to point out my contention 3, which is Toll 214 and toll roads, and those are wasteful impacts that public infrastructure has on the economy. And that does not boost the economy at all. That actually harms the economy. Now, finally, onto the contention 5, which is the psychodependency vector round 1, how welfare dependence is bad. I have 1 card against this, but let's find it. Means tested welfare programs have changed to emphasize work. Many were skeptical that welfare recipients could get and hold jobs. Some of this reduction has surely been the result of purposeful efforts to discourage eligible families from receiving benefits. But virtually everybody agrees that there have been far-reaching changes in the way states implement and run programs. These changes share a common feature. They emphasize work, and a large portion of the families who are no longer receiving welfare benefits are working. Also, I would like to point out by SSWA, the welfare 70% of welfare recipients leave welfare in 2 years, which means no, that's not enough time for them to get actually stuck in the cycle of welfare dependence. Thank you, and I urge the negative side of this resolution.
Okay. I'll take a minute of prep.
Are you using prep?
Yeah, taking a minute.
What? Outside. Where?
Okay. So, everybody ready?
Tell me when you're ready. Say time starts now.
I'm just open the card. Okay. Time starts now. Okay, so Judge, first of all, I want to talk about contentions first and then go on to framework. So for the first contention, they read a card, Casper Kevin 2014A. They said how they need poverty and how there's poverty and how welfare works. We have a card Weinstein 2014, which is talking about more than 48, or most of what they claim is impacts are not impacts of means-tested welfare programs. More than 48 million people were poor in the U.S. in 2013. When a Social Security didn't exist, more than 75 million people would have been poor. Most of us have elderly parents or other relatives for whom Social Security is an absolutely essential part of their monthly budget. A new report by the U.S. Central Bureau shows how essential Social Security is, and not only Social Security, both two tax credits that provide refund checks with 8.8 million people in working families out of poverty. SNAP or food stamps keeps 4.8 million people from being poor. So, Judge, what this card is basically saying is showing that all their impacts are talking about how, they have like 10 million people on Social Security and all these people on Medicare. These are not means-tested social welfare programs, so you can't even consider this in this debate. And then for the second contention, they talked about how private contractors are earning too much money. But in reality, private contractors, fine, they're earning a lot of money, but this public infrastructure is also creating jobs and opportunities, and it's giving people a steady balance of life, which is a lot more than the negation can say, because welfare programs is basically just giving people free money. So wouldn't you rather just have a scenario where you're actually getting jobs and you're actually improving the lives of people, rather than just taking dropping America's economy, which is what welfare programs are doing, and basically just giving free money to the poor people. Now for the third contention, they talked about how there's bad examples of public infrastructure. So for their subpoint A, they talked about Stoll 2014, or one of their subpoints is Stoll 2014, how they're basically saying that we're spending too much money on infrastructure and it's not beneficial. But I have a card, FB 2014A. The potential infrastructure packages would yield from $18 billion to $250 billion annually. 291 cancels all the scheduled sequester cuts stemming from the budget. Automatic across-the-board cuts to discretionary spending called in for the Budget Control Act DCA of 2011, yielding an average of $30 billion annually over the next decade for infrastructure investments. As of January 2014, a third of the scheduled sequester cuts were canceled for the next 2 years only. Scenario 2 implements a package of green investments that includes a large increase in investments in the energy efficiency of residential and commercial buildings, and upfront investments to construct a national smart grid, yielding $92 billion annually in infrastructure investments over the next decade. Scenario 3 makes an ambitious investment in largely traditional infrastructure project in transportation and utilities, particularly water treatment, distribution, and sewage systems, to nearly close the U.S. infrastructure deficit identified by the American Society of Civil Engineers, and yields $250 billion annually in infrastructure investment between now and 2020. So, Judge, this card is basically showing how much money we're actually making from infrastructure, and how they warrant that we're spending 76 billion, how much money we're spending. It doesn't really matter because they're making it all back. And then for the supplement B, they talked about how toll roads, but really just the main warrant here is that toll roads aren't gonna work because there's no market for them. But in reality, there is a market, because there will always be cars, there will always be traffic, there will always be people that need toll roads, which means that toll roads will always stay in business. People will always use toll roads, which means that their impact that is bad, it doesn't really count, because considering people are always going to use it and it's still always going to be in use. So now I'd like to talk about framework. So we offered a framework cost benefit analysis, and they talked about whether to alleviate income inequality. So first of all, Judge, you should obviously prefer our framework, because with their framework of alleviating income inequality, they're just restating the resolution. It's nothing specific, which means you should prefer our framework. And then also, even if you don't believe this point that we should prefer their framework, or we should prefer our framework, let's go into their framework. Their framework is alleviating income inequality. We've already shown multiple times how people are taking advantage of how all these impacts that are coming aren't actually welfare programs, whereas with infrastructure we've shown how much money we're making, how much benefits we have. So thank you, Judge, and I urge a strong affirmative vote.
Stand up a sec. This battery on this laptop is very bad. So let's switch sides first of all. Let's switch laptop sides. So this one's on that side. Now, let's move the desk over this way. Make sure the laptop doesn't fall off and your phone doesn't fall off. There. Now I can plug it in.
Okay, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Okay, are you ready for cross?
I think you're about 6 inches closer this way.
Never mind. Wait. We're experiencing technical difficulties. Is it okay? Okay. Time starts now. So, do you have a question? Oops. So, are you ready?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'm
tell me
ready.
what.
Time starts now. So, do you have a question?
So how much examples did you actually provide against my public infrastructure example bad card?
Well, I didn't provide any in response, but I have many examples in my case. So, yeah.
Okay, then what was your rebuttal to my contention 3.8?
I read a card at 2014 that talked about how much money you're making.
Oh, okay.
So, do you have?
Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so, you talked about how basically that people are only gonna be in welfare for like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
But, uh, but isn't this good? Because if they're only gonna be in welfare for 2 years, then this means that they don't need it that much, right?
No, it means welfare is efficient and it's working.
How do you know, or do you know how much under the poverty line they actually are?
What? Oh, 45 million.
No, like how far in poverty are they?
No, I cannot give you exact specific answers to
Then
how much
how
a person is under the poverty line.
then how can we just my computer. Then how come we can't then how is it what is it preventing me from saying that most people are under the poverty line or only slightly under the poverty line, which means that they don't in reality need welfare? If you can't give any evidence then.
Emily, I'm gonna go pee really quick.
What do you mean if they don't in reality need welfare?
Because
Why is
like
it actually? Let me turn that. Why is it preventing me that from saying, well, they're all under the poverty line by a lot?
because you don't have any evidence and I do have evidence.
Well, you don't have any evidence either.
Yes, I do
So
actually.
why is it
I have a card. It's called Springer 2014A. It shows how people are abusing the system and how much under the poverty line, or how in reality most of them are not under the poverty line. They're not like totally in need of welfare. They're only slightly under the poverty line, so as to stay in welfare and to keep getting the benefits.
So you're saying that welfare programs are still working? Right?
No, I'm saying they're not working. I'm saying that people are taking advantage of it and they just decide to come out of welfare after 2 years, since you can't provide a number on how deep into welfare they are and I can.
You can't provide a number either.
Yes, I can. I have a card right here. Yes,
Can I
let me
see the
show you.
number?
Yes, I can show you the number as soon as the dang thing opens. Okay, so basically, it's showing that some workers are asking for their fewer if they could. Okay, oh, let's cross. I'll just show it during your prep, or I'll tell you during your prep. Say hi.
Hi.
Slowly. Okay. I think I'm ready. Okay, I'll take 1 minute prep. Time starts now.
Huh?
What speech?
Summary. Strauss. Can we run an easier round? Can we run like me and Evelyn against Catherine and Grace?
Well, let's finish this turn, shall we?
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
So how many more rounds are there? Like what? I'm not
There's
familiar with the format.
there's one more speech for each of us, or there's two more speeches for each of us, and then one more Grand Cross, which is all of
So
us.
so it'll be Edmund's speech, Edmund's speech, your speech, Edmund, and you, and then Cross.
No, it's Edmund's speech, and then my speech, and then a cross in between, and then Edmund's speech again, and then my speech, and that's the round.
Right. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. 2 minutes. Okay, so time starts now. Okay, time starts now. Okay, Judge. First, I would like to address criterion framework. You have to consider my framework because it's the most specific to the resolution. It's most topical, and it's way topical than their criterion. So you have to vote on it, Judge. And now I will go down the flow on my case. For my contention 1, it's about how means tested welfare programs reduce poverty, 40 million people. They argued this Weinstein card, saying Social Security and a bunch of other programs don't count. Mostly Social Security in general. 75 million people. I don't even have that much impact counted. But I would like to read a card called Mineric 14. Social Security are already means tested.
Cut the card.
The notion that Social Security is not means tested flows from a fairly simple view of the program's cash benefits. That simple reasoning misses two key aspects of the program's operations. First, the program's benefit formula favors lower wage workers. Benefit amounts are based on the lifetime earnings history. Thus, although higher wage workers receive more dollars in absolute terms, they receive less back in Social Security benefits per dollar of tax paid over their lifetimes. This basically proves that Social Security actually counts as means tested welfare programs. It's totally topical. We should get all their 75 million people impacted, add that to our 40 million, 150 million people. Their incomes are increased, which decreases income inequality. We should win the round off of that, Judge. Now on to my contention 2. They basically said that public infrastructure is also creating jobs against private contractors are making way too much, which proves that public infrastructure doesn't actually alleviate income inequality. Well, they missed the core warrant. They basically said that public infrastructure are also creating jobs. What does this mean? They missed the core warrant that public infrastructure is actually increasing income inequality. Oh gosh.
I'm so screwed.
Is that final focus?
No, it's the summary.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll take 30 seconds of prep.
I don't know. Oh my god. No. Are you really gonna guilt for his staying? That's so pathetic. Okay, I'm not. No, that was a show. No, that was stressed out. No, this is sassy. And that's
Okay. Okay. So, Judge, ready? Everybody ready? Yes?
Yep.
Okay. Time starts now. So first of all, Jess, I want to talk about frameworks. So we've already shown you why we should win under both frameworks, so it doesn't even matter whichever framework you prefer. So now let's move on to contention. So for the first contention, they talked about how it violates justice and liberty. We talked about how it violates justice and liberty, and basically they had like these 4 main warrants, basically saying that it's bad and like we need to prefer welfare programs. So again, they gave their impact to 40 million people. Well, okay. First of all, let's talk about this. So they read a card, Mineric 2014, that's basically saying how it is a means tested social welfare program, but they have not factored in to the point where means tested means you have to be poor enough to get it. Social Security has no kind of beneficial, no kind of like economy benefits or anything like that. You need to be old enough to get it, which means that it is non-topical because considering Social Security has nothing to do with means tested welfare programs. Although they are both welfare programs, they are not means tested, which means that we can't consider this in this debate because again, Social Security doesn't have anything means tested in it, which means it doesn't count as means tested because you don't need to have a certain poor. You don't need to be poor enough. So with that in mind, let's go on to the first contender. So for the first contender, they talked about how they have their impacts of 40 million people. Well, my card, Weinstein, I clearly read how food stamps only provide 4.8 million people. And since I've already proven that in reality it isn't means tested welfare programs, that means it only impacts 4.8 million people. And I have a card right here, less than 2011. A 1.2 trillion infrastructure investment plan creates 27 million jobs in 5 years. A 5-year, 1.2 trillion infrastructure investments invested program that is bound to create 23,000 jobs for every 1 billion of investment. That would create 5.52 million jobs a year of the 5-year program, or 27 million jobs. So again, their impact of 4.8 million, it's completely destroyed by our impact of 27 million jobs. So then let's talk about the second contestant. This house is non-unique. Again, it doesn't really matter if it's non-unique, considering this is still a problem that we have to address, and it is a problem that means that social welfare programs have. Now for the third contestant, again, they gave how this big warrant. Again, we've already proven that wrong with how many we've given. And then for the contention 5, they talked about how they changed it to emphasize work, but in reality they didn't because people are still abusing the system according to our card. So thank you, and I urge a strong affirmative vote. Are you ready for cross?
The last speech?
No, it's cross.
I completely messed up the timing.
Aaron Crossman?
It's okay.
Okay, Grand Cross. 3
Yeah.
minutes. Time starts now. Okay, so what did you say against my rebuttal to your fifth contention?
So I said that they may have changed it to emphasize work, but it really doesn't. The fact that they're changing it doesn't really work, considering the card. I showed you a card, Springer, that's showing how people are abusing the system still.
Oh, you showed me a card? You did not read it in
Showed-
any of your speeches, so it shouldn't count as in the flow.
Yeah, I read it in Crossfire. So are you saying Crossfire isn't a speech
You
then?
read it in Crossfire?
Yes, I referenced it in
mentioned
Crossfire.
it in Crossfire.
Yes,
You
I did
referenced
mention
but
it.
You don't actually have evidence or proof that the card exists.
Then do you want to see the card?
And you have to bring it up in your actual speeches in the round.
So are you saying Crossfire doesn't count during the round?
It does count, but it's not for making arguments. Like actual arguments that are supposed to stand in the round.
Then what's the point? What's the point in having a cross if we're not going to make any arguments? Obviously, any argument that's made in the cross needs to count, considering it's in the round for a reason.
Well, you can't mention a card in Crossfire and then actually have it impacted on the flow because you didn't actually read it.
Then
And
that
you
means
didn't provide any
all the
evidence.
impacts you're talking about of how infrastructure is bad, they don't count either, because you said that in cross too, which means that I should win the round.
Wait, what? Infrastructure doesn't count? I actually read a card in my rebuttal speech, maybe, to
Oh shit. Yes, you read a card. So
and what did you say against that?
Your what?
My Ruby card.
Ruby card? Oh, I said
My
that.
Ruby.
Oh, the basically the one like false examples of jobs, right?
It fails to create jobs.
Yeah. So and then so basically I said that how it does create it does. Although it might fail to create jobs, it makes more jobs than welfare programs do, considering welfare programs don't make any jobs.
Okay.
So, do you want to see the Springer card right now?
Have you read it in a speech?
Well, see, technically it's not my obligation, it's your obligation to see the card, because if you're not going to say anything about it, just basically that, oh, it doesn't count because it's red and cross, then it does count, because your only rebuttal is that...
To actually read the card in order for it to count in the round.
Fine then, then it's a warrant, then it's a claim, okay? I'm making a claim. he said I mentioned Springer, so it doesn't count because I said it during the cross.
Or did you read it?
Well, I referenced it.
Okay, I'll
Never
take
happened
my
to me
last
before.
30 seconds of
Okay, you got something else on there. Good. You can take this back.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay, 2 minutes on the clock. Ready? Time starts now. Okay, so first, Judge, I would like to point out framework or criteria. The criterion, whichever side best alleviates income inequality, most topical, it refers to the resolution. You have to vote on it, Judge. Now let's go on to the voters. Voter number 1. 115 million people are impacted positively. Their incomes are impacted, which alleviates income inequality way more than public infrastructure does. Even if that lens nerd card they read about the 27 million people still stand, 115 million to 27 million, 115 million people alleviate income inequality more than 27 million people. And also, this leads to voter number 2, Rookie. My Rookie's part about like timely targeted, how public infrastructure is wasteful and fails to create jobs, that still stands. They haven't addressed it in their summary speech, and that basically brings down the whole public infrastructure alleviating income inequality, which is what it's supposed to do, CAR. And so basically 115 million people, their incomes are impacted positively to alleviate income inequality to 0. Well, you should prefer main-sensitive welfare programs over public infrastructure no matter what. Now on to voter number 3. My contention 2. My contention 2 is about how private investors make way too much money off of infrastructure projects, and they make more than employees, the poor employees. So it actually, public infrastructure increases income inequality and doesn't alleviate it. Because, here, let me read the analysis again. For example, let's say an infrastructure project was $1 million. Well, $600,000 would go to the rich contractor, and only $100,000 would go to the actual poor, the employees. Even if it creates jobs, those are useless because they don't alleviate income inequality. It actually increases income inequality.
Okay, I'll take the last 30 seconds of prep. Time starts now.
Holy crap! Whoa, whoa, whoa! Okay. Right. Make it more realistic. That was like way too long. I don't know what you said.
Okay. Is everybody ready for final focus? Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Time starts now. So just today I want to show you why we've obviously won this round. First of all, let's talk about framework. So framework, they've completely dropped framework other than to say that we should prefer their framework. But if you've been paying attention, Judge, we've already shown you why we win under both frameworks. So it doesn't matter which framework you should prefer, we should win this round because we already shown you why we win under both. Now let's go on to the next point. So first of all, another key point in this debate has been how many jobs. So during summary, I brought up how, again, they're not means tested because they don't focus on money, which means that all their impacts of 150 million people, they're all gone because, again, they've dropped the point when I said in summary that it does not count as means tested welfare programs. So, which means that, again, I provide you 4.8 million cards out of just food stamps in my Weinstein card, which, again, is food stamps. That is means-tested social welfare programs. Social Security and Medicare are not, because again, they dropped the point that we made in summary how they're not, which means that they are agreeing that Social Security and Medicare are not means-tested welfare programs. So all these impacts they claim, these 150 million impacts they claim, they're all gone, because again, we've already shown you in our card only 4.8 million people are out of poverty because of food stamps, which is destroyed by our 27 million people jobs card. So then let's talk about the next point. So they keep talking about how all these contentions still stand, but again, if you've been flowing, you've seen that I've addressed all these contentions and that I've already proven you why they're all false. So if he's gonna make claims that I've already proved wrong, then you can't actually vote for him because I've already proved these wrong. So for example, they talked about how because they said how we didn't address it. Yeah, we did address it because we said although it fails to create jobs, we already referenced the card that showed you why it does create jobs and why people are still using the system. Which means that all their impacts are talking about of how like these jobs are created and how infrastructure doesn't work, it actually does work because of the points that I've shown you in this final focus. So thank you, Judge, and I urge a strong affirmative ballot. It's over. Yay.
Okay. Here. Plug that in for a second though. Actually, here, plug in my earplugs for a second. I want to listen too. Or give me one ear, or take one of my ears if you don't want me to put my ear in your ear. Okay. You take one ear and give me the other ear. Otherwise, we're gonna get this echoey thing going on.
My headphones are broken. Only one of them works.
Here. Have an ear.
That sounds great.
Alright, so Edmond, how do you feel about the round? Just a quick thought.
I lost the round.
I don't know. I don't know.
We won the round.
If it was judged by a lay judge, Alice would definitely have won. And even if it was judged by a flow judge, I'm not sure who.
So Alice is just being a normal negative Nancy, or what?
No, I was not being negative Nancy. He won the round.
Alright, Zach, what do you think?
Well, like, from like an unbiased perspective, I think that Edmond won because he kept identifying the underlying framework, and you said you kept you said that you undermined it, right? Like regardless of what framework the judge prefers, that you prove why it's inconsistent ultimately because of the violating justice and whatnot. But he argued that regardless of whether or not it makes jobs, most of the money still goes to the private contractors. And with regard to violating justice and whatnot, there's violence. It's non-specific. Let's see, what did I write? So basically, he said that the violence still happens regardless because of like toll roads and whatnot. It's still demanding money from individual citizens and the like. And let's see, what did he say about violence? Damn, I don't remember where I wrote it down at.
I got the gist of what you're saying, though. I got the gist of the argument you're pointing at. What do you think about that assessment of things, guys? Edmond?
Yeah.
Do you think that was a fair assessment?
Yeah.
You think it's correct?
Yeah.
Edmond, do you think it's correct as well?
I wasn't a negative Nancy.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Come on, Edmond. Who's going to know better than you?
The judge.
Do you like that assessment? You're happy about it because he picked you, and now you're shy about saying yes, he's right, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, I suspect that sounds like the correct assessment on things. To me, it sounds like a correct line of argumentation. It sounds like where this debate round might have ended up, right? Which is to say, on the one hand, Alice is saying that this is inconsistent with justice. On the other hand, you're saying, well, so are toll roads, and you haven't provided an answer to toll roads.
Or he's saying also letting poor die is unjust as well. I think that's one of the points he made is that letting, that would ultimately be just as unjust or perhaps more than violating the justice of the private contractors, some of their money. So I think that was one of the main points.
Okay, well, and then Alice, if Edmund's continuing to run his "a lack of welfare causes mass starvation" point,
No.
then
they didn't
how
do
are you accounting for all the dead poor people, Edmund? How are they dying? How are all the poor people dying?
um, uh, I didn't really make that.
Did you ask him that question, Alice?
that. No.
Do you wonder how it is that they die all of a sudden when they stop getting welfare checks?
No.
Oh no, my welfare check didn't come. Ah! And then they just die,
Yeah,
right?
that's obviously what happens.
So anyway, there you need to push on that link, right, guys?
Yeah.
All right. So it sounds to me like Zachary knew what he was talking about. Sounds to me like he watched the round and understood the
I
argumentation.
think so. I don't know, but do you guys honestly think that was a fair assessment? Give me your
Yeah.
honest opinion, because this is the first time I've ever judged.
Edmund, what do you
It's
think?
a good judging. It's better than the lay judges.
I don't
They
know.
make.
God damn it, Edmund, your uselessness is annoying me. All right. Regardless of that, Zachary, why don't, if you're still up later, I've got a bunch of stuff going on here, but let's talk later about getting you involved in coaching and stuff like that, and let's let me let you go right now, and
All right.
I'll go back in the main room and I'll finish talking with my team and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll be around.
right.
After I leave, I want Edmund and Alice to give Eric their real thoughts on it, the true thoughts without me here.
Okay. All right. I'll hit him up for it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll talk to you later. I'll still be around, so just message me over Facebook or whatever.
All right. Cool. Talk to you later, Zach. All right, guys. So what do you think?
It was better than some of the lay judges I've seen.
Do you think it was accurate? What do you think he missed?
I think he said I argued like justice and liberty, but I didn't say anything about I just dropped justice and liberty as soon
You
as
just didn't extend it, or
yeah,
what?
I didn't extend it, and he said
Well,
I extended it.
Okay.
Oh my!
Edmund, what do you think?
Okay, so he didn't point out, like, in his RFD about my cash Perkovic, my contention 1 impact, but I think he considered that in the flow and why I won and why his decision. I think he just forgot to, like, say it. I don't know.
Word. Okay. Well, let's take it back inside, guys. And let me end this video. This has been quite a video here. Has this been recording the whole time? Yeah, it has. Okay, cool.